We are live, Bhante ji.
We are live?
Yes.
नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति। नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्युपन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमंगेन वंदेहं पादपंसो वरुत्तमं बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम। बुद्धं यावनिब्बान पर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। स्वाकातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटिको अकालिको एहिपस्सिको अपनायको पच्छत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नुहीति। नमो तस्स नियानिकस्स धम्मस्सा। ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्युपन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं धम्मं च विदुत्तमं धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम। धम्मं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावक संगो। यदिदं चत्तारि पुरिसयुगानि अट्टपुरिसपुद्गला एषा भगवतो सावक संगो। आहुनेयो बाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकस्साति। नमो तस्स अट्ट अर्य पुद्गला महासंगस्सा। ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्युपन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं संगो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं संगं च विदुत्तमं संगेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम। संगं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। विपट्टि पटिवाहाय सर्वसम्पत्ति सिद्धिया सर्वदुःखं विनाशाय सर्वभयं विनाशाय सर्वरोगं विनाशाय भवेदीर्घायुकदायक सर्वलोकं हितत्ताय परित्तं बनामहे। समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्र गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजस्सा शृण्वन्तु सर्गमोक्तदं। धम्मश्रवणकालो अयं वदन्ता धम्मश्रवणकालो अयं वदन्ता परित्तश्रवणकालो अयं वदन्ता। नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा। एवं मे सुतं एकं समयं भगवा मगधेषु विहरति दक्षिणागिरिस्मिन् एकनारायं ब्राह्मणगामे तेन कोपन समयेन काशी भारद्वाजस्य ब्राह्मणस्य पंचमत्तानि नंगलशतानि पयुत्तानि होन्ति वप्पकाले अतको भगवा पुब्बन्न समयं निवासे त्वा पट्टचि वरमादाय येन काशी भारद्वाजस्य ब्राह्मणस्य कम्मन्तो तेनुपसंकमि तेन कोपन समयेन काशी भारद्वाजस्य ब्राह्मणस्य परिवेशना वर्तति। अतको भगवा येन परिवेशना तेनुपसंकमि उपसंकमित्वा एकमन्तं अट्टासि अद्दसाको कसी भारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो भगवन्तं पिण्डायत्यटन् दिस्वा भगवन्तं ये तदवोच अहंको समना कसामी च वपामी च कसित्वा च वपित्वा च भुञ्जामि त्वंपि समना कसस्सु च वपस्सु च कसित्वा च वपित्वा च भुञ्जस्सुति अहंपिको ब्राह्मणा कसामी च वपामी च कसित्वा च वपित्वा च भुञ्जामीति नको मयं पस्सामा गोतो गोतमस्सा युगं वा नङ्गलं वा पालं वा पाचनं वा बलिबद्धे वा अथ चापन भवं गोतमो एवमाह अहंपिको ब्राह्मणा कसामी च वपामी च कसित्वा च वपित्वा च भुञ्जामीति अतको कसी भारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो भगवन्तं घाताय अज्जबासि कस्सको पटिजानासि न चापस्सामि ते कसिं कस्सको कुचितो ब्रूहि कतं जाने मुतं कसन्ति सद्दा बीजं तपो वुट्टि पन्यामे युगंगलं किरी ईसा मनोयोद्धं सती मे पालपाचनं कायगुत्तो वचीगुत्तो आहारे उदरे यथो सच्चं करोमि निदानं सोरच्चं मे पमोचनं वीर्यं मे दुराधोरयं योगक्के मादिवाहनं गच्छति अनिवर्तन्तं यत्त गन्त्वा न शोचति एवमे सा कसी कट्टा सा होति अमतफला एतं कसिं कसित्वा न सब्बदुःखापमुच्यतीति अतको कसी भारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो महतियागं सपातिया पायासं उद्येत्वा भगवतो उपनामेसि भुञ्जतु भवं गोतमो कस्सको भवं यं हि भवं गोतमो अमतः फलं पि कसिं कसतीति गाताभिगीतं मे अभोजनेयं सम्पस्सतं ब्रह्मणा नेसादम्मो गाताभिगीतं पनुन्दन्ति बुद्धा दम्मे सति ब्राह्मणा उत्तीरसा अन्नेन च केवलिनीं महिषिं कीनासवं कुक्कुच्चवुपसन्तं अन्नेन पाणेन उपट्टहसु यत्तं हि तं पुनः पुण्यपेक्कस्स होतीति अतकस्सक्षाहं गो गौतमा इमं पायसं दम्मीति नाक्वाहन्तं ब्राह्मणा पस्सामि सदेव के लोके समारके सब्रह्मके सस्समण ब्राह्मणिया पजाया सदेव मनुस्साया यशसो पायसो बुद्धो सम्मा परिणामं गच्छेय अन्यतरागत तथागतस्सवा तथागतसावकस्सवा तेन हि त्वं ब्राह्मणा तं पायसं अपहारिते वा षड्डे हि अप्पाणके वा उदके ओपिलापे हेति अतको कसी भारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो तं पायसं अप्पाणके उदके ओपिलापेसि अतको सोपायसो उदके पक्कित्तो चिट्चिटियाति चिटिचिटायति संदूपायति संपदूपायति संयतापि नाम फालो दिवसं संतत्तो उदके पक्कित्तो चिट्चिटायाति चिटिचिटायाति संदूपायाति संपदूपायति एवमेव सोपायसो उदके पक्कित्तो चिट्चिटायाति चिटिचिटायति संदूपायति संपदूपायति अतको कसी भारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो संविग्गोलो महत्तजातो येन भगवा उपसंकमित्वा भगवतो पादेषु शिरसा निपतित्वा भगवन्तं ये तदवोच अभिक्कमन्तं भो गोतमा अभिक्कमन्तं भो गोतमा संयतापि भो गोतमा निकुज्जितं वा उत्कुज्जय्या पठिच्छन्नं वा उवरय्या मूलस्य वा मग्घं आचिक्यय्या अन्धकारे वा तेलपज्योतं धारय्या चक्षुमन्तो रूपाणि दक्कन्तीति एवमेवं भूता गौतमेन अनेक पर्यायेन धम्मोपकाशितो येषाहं भवन्तं गौतमं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं च भिक्षुसङ्गं च लभेयाहं गोतो गौतमस्य सन्तिके पब्बज्जं लभेयं उपसम्पदन्ति अलत्तको कसी भारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो भगवतो सन्तिके पब्बज्जं गलत्ता उपसम्पदन् अचिरूपसम्पन्नो पयनायस्मा भारद्वाजो एको उपकट्टो अपमत्तो अथापि महितत्तो विहरन्तो नचिरस्सेवा यस्सत्थाया कुलपुत्ता सम्मदेवागारस्मानागारियं पब्बजन्ति तदनुत्तरं ब्रह्मचर्य पर्योसानं दिट्टेवा धम्मे सयं अभिन्यासच्चिकत्वा उपसम्पद्य विहासि क्षीणा जाति उसितं ब्रह्मचर्यं कटं करणीयं नापं इत्तट्टायाति अब्बन्यासि अन्यतरो चाको पनायस्मा भारद्वाजो अर्हतं दहोसीति येतेन सच्चवज्जेन सोतिनो होतु सब्बद येतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु नो जयमङ्गलम् येतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातु नो रतनत्तयं नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्स सद्वितीयो विवज्जन्तु सब्बरोगो विनश्यतु माते भवतन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भव भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सर्वसङ्गानुभावेन सदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते इमिना पुण्याकम्भेन मामे बालसमागमो सतं समागमो होतु यावन्निब्बानपत्या इदं मे पुण्याकम्मं आसवक्तयं वहं होतु सर्वदुःखापमुच्यतु निब्बान संपर्चयो होतु साधु साधु. So this today's discourse is chanting. This is about one farmer, Krushi, Kasi Bharadwaja, Krushika Bharadwaja, the farmer Bharadwaja, the peasant, the cultivator, the agriculturist. So it's about that Bharadwaja. He was a very big farmer and he was an intelligent person, wise person, but still he was having some kind of proudness, some kind of conceit of his wealth, of his earnings, of his prosperity. Otherwise, he was a wise person, and because of the conceit, he became a bit disrespectful to Buddha, and how Buddha could tame him, and how Buddha could convert his view, his wrong view. And again, see, everything is a matter of view. Otherwise, people are not bad by themselves. The core, everyone has the seed of enlightenment, has the seed of absolute wisdom and absolute freedom. But unfortunately, we develop a lot of say proudness or some kind of conceit, because in the worldly life, without conceit, it is difficult to survive. Maybe because of that, many people, layer by layer, they accumulate different kinds of conceit, and they get carried away by that conceit, by that ego, by that I-ness and minus, and they lack that spiritual insights. They can't penetrate into those spiritual insights, and they keep revolving, rotating in these repeated births and deaths, and they suffer, of course, when you carry this body and mind. Then suffering is inherent with this body and mind. So it will not leave you. It will take you from one life to another life, and of course, not only the births and deaths in between that, like the life, one has to go through a lot of suffering in different ways, different kinds of suffering one has to undergo, one has to go through. So Buddha, out of compassion, how he could help this Kashi Bharadwaja. So we are discussing all these different discourses because it will help even today, in the present day also, different kinds of mentalities, different kinds of say the conceit that people have developed. Somehow, one or the other discourse will strike almost all kinds of conceits, all kinds of personalities which are holding on to this, or holding on to this I-ness and minus, different kinds of people. Somehow they can connect to some of these discourses and they can understand how menial is these worldly, say, so-called achievements, worldly successes, worldly achievements, how menial they are, how painful in a way they are, how much suffering they will bring. So these things people can easily understand when we discuss these different kinds of discourses given to different kinds of people with different temperaments, so that the people, the listeners also, they can relate themselves to these different kinds of temperaments and they can absorb the Dhamma here, the truth here, uh, the liberating truth. It's not just the worldly truth, the liberating truths one can absorb and one can definitely get benefited from this. That is one reason why I chanted this Kasi Bharadwaja Sutta. The second reason is like how respectfully and how humbly one should learn to offer. with proudness, offering how dangerous it is and how, say, useless it is, and how Buddha could tame this Kasi Bharadwaja, a Brahmin, so he was a peasant, a cultivator, an agriculturist, a farmer. So he developed a lot of uh, this ego based on his wealth, wealth-based ego. Because of that, his offering was also not very humble, not very respectful. How Buddha could tame him again with with wisdom and compassion. How Buddha could tame him, and how these things, these two ways of taming, one changing his view, and the second thing is changing his attitude, changing his uh, arrogance to confidence. So these two changes we can see in the case of this Kasi Bharadwaj, and very skillfully, very wisely, very compassionately, Buddha could make this change, this kind of magic in the case of this person, and how he could become a liberated person, an enlightened person, an arahant. That is there in this discourse. That, of course, maybe another five minutes we can see at the end of this discourse, the end of this talk, because I can connect uh, the contents of this discourse, of this chanting, with the last aspect that I'm going to cover in this talk. So those two things can be connected. So because of that reason, I will explain about this discourse, this chanting at the end of this Dhamma. And now coming to this today's topic. This is also one very important topic because here there are some 4 discourses given to the same lady. And again, all these 4 discourses could handle the 4 limitations, the 4 weaknesses, the 4 negativities of this lady. Her name is Gotami. Gotami, of course, it is there are so many Gotamis in the Buddhist scriptures. You can see during the time of Buddha. There are different kinds of Gotamis. And this Gotami is Mahapajapati Gotami. She is the mother of, she is the foster mother, not the own mother, foster mother, stepmother, come foster mother of Gautam Buddha. There is one more Gautami, and then there is one more Kisa Gautami. There were so many Gautamis you can see during the time of Buddha also. And this Gautami is Buddha's mother, foster mother, who had taken care of Buddha when he was just 7 days infant. Because at the age of 7 days, his mother died, Mahamaya, who gave birth to Buddha, his mother, here in Lumbini, Nepal. So this Mahapajapati Gautami, she was the own sister of this Mahamaya, and Buddha's father, Shuddhodana, had married both of them, this Mahapajapati Gautami and also Mahamaya, both of them were sisters, and this Shuddhodana married to both of them. And when her sister died, Mahamaya died, this Gautami, Mahapajapati Gautami, she developed a lot of concern, care, love and affection, the motherly love towards Buddha. And she took care of Buddha as her own son. Same day, actually, she also delivered, she also gave birth to her own son. His name is Nanda. But somehow she developed a lot of concern and a lot of affection, love and affection, motherly affection towards Buddha, towards Gautama Buddha. At the time his name was Siddhartha, King Siddhartha. She developed so much concern and care. She gave her own son to the care of one nurse. All they were kings, they were from the royal family. She gave her own son to one nurse to take care of that Nanda. And she personally took care of Gautama Buddha, our Siddhartha Gautama. Though he is not the son of this lady, this Mahapajapati Gautami. And of course, she took care of him very, very fondly, very, very lovingly, very, very dearly, all through his childhood, his adolescence. Of course, all through the life, she took care of him. And she developed a lot of attachment to Buddha, that motherly attachment. Maybe more than the own mother, she developed a lot of concern, care, attachment, love towards Buddha. And because of that, because of one kind of attachment, it leads to several kinds of attachment and defilements in the mind. So she was a very wise lady, very good, very pious lady. But because of this attachment, she developed different kinds of defilements. And Buddha could then again his foster mother with a lot of skillfulness, with a lot of compassion, with a lot of wisdom. And not only that helped that lady, that Mahapajapati Gautami, that great lady, it helped so many women, so many royal women, and also other women, other nuns, and of course, whole world in a way. Even today, there is a lot of benefit for uh, the followers of Buddha, especially the women, because of this great lady. In addition to help his mother, foster mother, he could help through this lady to so many millions and millions of people, especially women, the nuns and the women. So, because of that reason, I could select this topic because Buddha could give three discourses, three discourses to this Mahapajapati Gautami when she became a nun. After she became a nun, she could able to interact with Buddha on several occasions. So on three occasions, Buddha could give three special discourses to this lady, and it helped her. It helped women. It helped the Bhikkhuni Sangha, the community of the nuns. So it could help. And of course, now also some of those principles, some of those techniques given by Buddha. Even today also, it will help many women and many bhikkhunis, many nuns. So in that way, Buddha could give three discourses after she became a bhikkhuni nun. And before she could take the ordination as a nun, he could give one discourse to his foster mother Mahapajapati Gautami. That time she was a lay woman. She was still a queen. She was not into the monastic life. So that time he gave one discourse. It's called Dakshina Vibhanga Sutta. Dakshina Vibhanga means like uh, about uh, about of course giving, the value of giving, the merits of giving. So about that, Buddha gave a discourse to this lady, this Mahapajapati Gautami, when she was still a queen. She was not a nun. She was not into the community of nuns. She was still a lay disciple of Buddha. She was taking only 5%. And that time Buddha could give this one discourse to her. So in total, there are four discourses. One, she was a lay woman, and the three discourses when she became a nun. So Buddha could give three discourses. So in that way, we will see all these four discourses. The gist of these four discourses, we can't explain all the entire discourse in detail. But the gist, if we can say understand and if we can absorb this, the gist of this four discourses, then that is good enough to change the view. Though we know so many aspects of right view, but there are hundreds and thousands of angles for this right view. Maybe we are stuck with some of the wrong versions or the corrupted versions of the view in some way or the other way. That's why discussing this Dhamma is discussing right view in different forms, in different ways, in different means, different angles, different dimensions. We are discussing the right view only. So that will sharpen the mind, that will cleanse the mind, that will change the mind from wrong views to right view. And that's what is purification. That's what is liberation. That's what is, in a way, a kind of process of enlightenment, the process of liberation, the process of mental purification and mind development. So, in that way, we will see the gist of these four discourses. And again, we will see the discourse that we chanted. So that is what is today's Dhamma talk. Now, coming to the first discourse that Buddha could deliver, could profound, could expound to this Mahapajapati Gotami is, of course, that time also she was a laywoman, and but her aspiration, her request was to make her a nun, to ordain her as a nun, and also her retinue, her friends, her attendants, all the say maids or attendants, friends of Mahapajapati Gautami, from the royal family, so many other women also. To make them nuns, she put forth one request with Buddha, and that is one discourse, and how Buddha rejected her request, and how she could become successful in getting the permission of Buddha to start this Bhikkhuni Sangha. Bhikkhuni Sangha means the community of the nuns. Because of her only, the community of nuns was set up by Buddha. In that way, she is the founder of Bhikkhuni Sangha. She is the key person for establishing Bhikkhuni Sangha. Of course, it was Buddha who established, but she is the key person. She is responsible person for the formation of this community of nuns. And what are the different conditions put forth by Buddha to this lady? Again to curb her attachment towards Buddha and towards the worldly life, and how he could make her a very matured bhikkhuni, very perfect bhikkhuni, to lead Bhikkhuni Sangha. So that's what is explained in this discourse. So in that discourse, that is the very, very important discourse. So from that discourse, we will start. And so once she visited Buddha and she paid respect to Buddha, and then she requested him to ordain her, to take her into the Sangha, to ordain her. Though she was a woman, that time it was only for men. Only men used to get ordination from Buddha, and they used to be in the Sangha. And she requested, why don't you ordain me also? And our women from the royal family also. We too want to progress in spirituality, progress in this mind purification. We too want to achieve spiritual liberation. So why don't you ordain me? That way she requested Buddha. And that's again one interesting conversation. It's because Buddha could not oblige to her request, so that he could curb her attachment, and maybe to some extent these royal ladies, they will have some kind of proudness also. So to curb the proudness of this royalty, and also to say tame them and tune them towards the liberation, towards the path of liberation. Very authoritatively, Buddha he did oblige to her request. So again, what are the different steps taken by this lady, Mahapajapati Gautami, to convince Buddha? and what are the different conditions put forth by Buddha to this lady. All these things are explained in this first discourse, that is about the establishment of the community of nuns. So the Buddha's stepmother and aunt, Mahapajapati Gotami, approached Buddha and requested ordination 3 times. So requested 3 times, and all the 3 times Buddha turned down, he rejected. Sometime later, so she did not give up, though Buddha rejected 3 times her request to ordain the women and to take them into the Sangha as nuns. So though Buddha rejected 3 times, she did not say give up. So what she did, sometime later, having shaved her head and then donned the monastic robes, the saffron robes, the orange color robes. See, she wore herself, and together with 500 other Sakyan women, not only herself, so she could encourage, she could motivate 500 other women from that royal clan. Buddha's clan is Sakya clan. They belong to a clan called Sakyans. So from that Sakyan clan, so she could convince 500 other women also, and they too uh, shaved their heads and donned the monastic robes, the saffron robes. And then again she approached the Buddha with the same request that you should ordain us. She was having that kind of a little bit of proudness, also a little bit of concern that she wants to be with Buddha always, and some kind of attachment. Though her spiritual inclination may not be so perfect, so to make her spiritual inclination working for the mind purification and liberation of the mind may not be very perfect. So Buddha, because of that reason, he did not oblige, he did not give the permission to ordain Mahapajapati Gotami, his aunt, and also the foster mother, and also stepmother. So then what happened? After this also, so though she brought 500 people, 500 women with these monastic robes and also shaven head, Buddha rejected. Buddha, so he turned down her request. Then what happened? Venerable Ananda saw her crying and asked what the problem was. Venerable Ananda, he was the cousin and also the chief attendant. He was caretaker, chief attendant of Buddha. And he was, of course, cousin also of same age. So he saw, he was also a very compassionate person. And he saw his aunt, Mahapajapati Gotami, and she was crying and asked what the problem was. He explained the entire the effort that made by her to become a nun. And Venerable Ananda suggested that he should speak to the Buddha, which he subsequently did. So he told that don't worry, I will talk to Buddha and I will get permission from him so that you can become nuns. That way, he told her, he could convince her. Then when Ananda requested Buddha about the ordination of his aunt, that is the stepmother of Gautam Buddha, and also other 500 women from that Sakyan clan, Sakyan family, Sakyan royal family. Buddha again turned down, again he rejected. He rejected the request of this Venerable Ananda also. Again, of course, again there is a lesson to both Ananda and Mahapajapati. Ananda is little emotional, little compassionate person. He was not very skillful in say helping people. Of course, many times he helped, but again with the help of, with the support of, with the wisdom of Buddha. That was a wonderful combination. Ananda was a very compassionate person, and Buddha was very wise. So their combination, Ananda, Venerable Ananda, and our Gautama Buddha's combination, it could help millions and millions of people. Buddha, this Ananda, out of compassion, he used to entertain some people, and Buddha, out of wisdom and compassion both, he could tame them by handling their proudness, by handling their attachment, by handling their egos or conceit. The Buddha could handle so many people, not just Mahapajapati Gautami, not only in this case, in so many other cases, several cases. The compassion of Honorable Ananda, the wisdom of Buddha had helped so many millions and millions of people. And then what happened? He again started asking questions, this Ananda. So even the women can attain liberation. Is it possible or not? Buddha said it is highly possible. Women also can attain liberation. There is no problem. You know? Sometime back last week, I was conducting a class here for some Europeans. And though they were very confident, all of them were women. So though they were very confident, girls and women, and they were a lot of freedom and they were roaming all over the world and very daring, very courageous, very strong, very intelligent. But still, they were also having some doubt because of our own limitations as a woman, as a girl, whether we could get liberation, whether we could get enlightenment, because we are too emotional, we are too attached to the worldly things. Is it possible? Then I had to explain about the formation of this Bhikkhuni Sangha and what is the basis for forming this Sangha and how Buddha could liberate millions and millions of women also, and how they're equally capable as men. Physically, they may be having some limitations, but mentally, intellectually, even spiritually, they have the same faculties as men. The same thing. So with the same idea, Buddha could help so millions and millions of women. So the same thing I told these women with whom I was interacting and taking classes. That helped them to a great extent to think on these spiritual lines and learn meditations and all these things. So that kind of inferiority, or somehow it is very much there. Even today, I was very much surprised when these so-called the modern women, the Western women, who they think they are as equal as men. Sometimes they think they are better than men, but still they are having that kind of inferiority. So that kind of inferiority, these people also were having, especially during those times. The ancient days, women were definitely considered inferior. They were having lot of conditions. And Buddha, because of that reason, Venerable Ananda requested Buddha whether it is possible for the women to get the complete liberation. And then Buddha replied in a positive way, affirmatively replied, it's very much possible. Then he reminded, so why don't you allow your mother? She took care of you to a great extent. She was feeding you when your own mother died. She acted or she behaved. She has taken care of you more than your own mother. Why don't you be sympathetic? Why don't you be compassionate to her? To enter into the monastic sangha, monastic order. Then Buddha said, of course, that's true. So then finally, he put forth some conditions, some different conditions he has put forth, and then agreed to allow the women into the sangha. So there were 8 serious rules. These were explained by the Venerable Ananda to his mother, to his foster mother, Mahapajapati Gotami. The 8 rules. So it's always like, it's of course to protect the women. Physically during those days, nowadays, of course, there are so many laws which are there to protect women. But during those days, uh, women are considered inferior, and there was somebody should be there to protect them. It was not like today's situation where there's a lot of freedom, independence for the women to go around and be alone or be independent, and they can travel all over the world. But in those days, always some men, either father or the brother or the son or somebody, they always used to protect the women. Otherwise, they used to face a lot of hardship, the women. So because of that reason, Buddha put forth several conditions that even though uh, you have separate monastery, separate nunnery, where the nuns can stay, They should not be very far from the monastery where the monks monastery is there, because when there is some difficulty, they should immediately they can come and take the support, take the help of monks. And also, women, they have so many other psychological or so many other physical problems, not only this problem from the society, problem from people around them. And again, the women should always should select suitable teachers from the monks, and that is the next discourse. So all these different 8 conditions that Buddha put forth is to protect them, to safeguard them to the best possible way, especially during those days. That was very much required. And also, they can't be become too completely independent. So they should be under the protection of the monks and the communion of monks, so that it will become more comfortable and more convenient, more suitable for the nuns. So because of these reasons, Buddha put forth these 8 conditions. She agreed to all the 8 conditions, and she could become a nun along with another 500 members of the royal family. So, so these different rules are like say they should be trained from both the nuns and also from the monks. When the new women join the sangha, they should be trained from both the monks and the nuns, so that their receptivity to the sangha, to the new rules, and that humbleness, and that gentleness, and that complete submission to the path of Dhamma, it becomes more authoritative. So Buddha, uh, so he put forth that he suggested, or he just say made it a compulsory that they should take ordination from both Bhikkhu Sangha and Bhikkhuni Sangha. The new entrants to the this nunnery, to the ordination when they get ordained. So in that way, he has put forth so many conditions. Uh, so that they can be more protected, they can be more open to the spiritual path, they can be inclined, they can be tamed, they can be inclined towards the spiritual path, giving up the worldly attachments, worldly uh, pride, because of attachment only pride will come, and also protection. So when you are very proud and attached, if you are weak, then definitely you invite a lot of problems. So because of these reasons, Buddha could handle all these things. He could handle the pride, he could handle the attachment, early attachment, and also he could give the better protection to the women, and he increased the number of rules for the women, for the nuns. There are some 311 rules for the nuns, again for the sake of protection. And there are 227 rules for the men. So this increase in the rules for the women is again to protect them, and to again to tune them towards the spiritual journey more authoritatively, more willingly, more submissively, more humbly. So because of these reasons, Buddha could uh, say entertain these women, and they could, and he could start this Bhikkhuni Sangha. So that is about this first discourse about the formation of Bhikkhuni Sangha. Bhikkhuni Sangha means like the formation of the female monastic order. The female monastic order. So again, after that, so many thousands, millions, lakhs, and millions of women joined the Bhikkhuni Sangha, and they could work on their mind, and they could liberate their mind. They could become arahants. They could become completely liberated. There were some great teachers also among the women, among the Bhikkhunis. The time of Buddha, of course, she herself, Mahaprabhu Gautami also, she was a great teacher, and Buddha's wife, Yashodhara, she also became a nun, and so many other great this King Bimbisara's wife, uh, Kema, her name. She was wisest among the nuns. She was a great queen. She was the most the wisest and the most beautiful, very, of course, very pious, very virtuous lady. She became next to Buddha in her wisdom. So such a great wise lady. So in that way, millions and millions of women will join Sangha, the order, the female monastic order, the order of nuns, and they could become liberated. They could become enlightened once, and they could liberate from these repeated births and deaths. In that way, this discourse is the opening of the monastic order for the nuns also, for the women also. That is the contribution of this Mahapajapati Gautami. With lot of hardship, she could convince Buddha. She had to travel hundreds of miles with barefoot to convince Buddha that she is so much dedicated to this path of mind purification. Shaving her head and wearing the robes and walking such a long distance, covering her body with dust, with a lot of sweat and lot of say, suffering. So that is her contribution. So she is the main lady who is responsible for the formation of Bhikkhuni Sangha. Because of her efforts, Buddha was convinced and he formed the Bhikkhuni Sangha. So that is about the first discourse. What is the second discourse that was given to this lady Gotami by Buddha? The second discourse in this group concerns the qualities that are required for a monk to be appointed as one who advises the nuns. This discourse is a lot less problematic, but it does reflect on the previous discourse some more, as one of the 8 serious rules is that the nuns should seek advice from the monk before holding the 15 days Uposatha ceremony twice a month. So here Buddha could again, as a mark of his concern for the women, for the nuns. So he advised this Mahapada Gautami to have one right advisor, the form of a good monk, great monk, virtuous monk, with a virtuous monk should say, give discourses, give instructions to the nuns, and what are the qualities, what is the qualification of such a monk. So those things are explained by Buddha to this Mahapajapati Gautami, and he says at least he should have been 15 years. He has completed his Rains retreat. That means 15 years senior he should be, and he should be well versed in all the rules and regulations and in the Dhamma, and he should be a virtuous monk. These things he should look into, and such a person should be appointed as the instructor of the bhikkhunis. He should be virtuous, learned, understand both sets of Patimokka rules. Patimokka rules means like these disciplinary rules. 2 sets means 1 set for the monks, 1 set for the nuns. So he should be well versed. He should be say thorough in all the monastic rules. Such a person should be the instructor for these bhikkhunis. He should be a clear speaker. He should be good in his articulation also. He should not simply confuse without having the quality of articulation, properly presenting the rules or the wisdom or the Dhamma, whatever it is. So he should be in a position to present it in a proper way. So such a person, the bhikkhunis should choose, and they should uh, get support from such a person. So in that way, Buddha has given a lot of conditions for the monk who should instruct the bhikkhunis. That was also very suitable, very useful for all the bhikkhunis. All these different conditions put forth by Buddha for a person, for a monk who should instruct the bhikkhunis. So based on these rules, they could easily select a suitable monk, and because of the right monk, because of the right instructions, the bhikkhuni sangha, it could say flourish well, it could. So many bhikkhunis could join the Sangha, so many women could join the Sangha, Bhikkhuni Sangha. So because of these instructions put forth by Buddha, for the person, for the monk who should instruct the bhikkhunis. So it has become one more great advantage, great benefit for the Bhikkhuni Sangha. So that is again because of this Mahapajapati Gotami, the foster mother or the stepmother of this our Gautama Buddha. So again, this is one more contribution of Mahapajapati Gotami. The first contribution is because of her perseverance, because of her commitment, because of her conviction. To start this Bhikkhuni Sangha, Buddha could start it. That is the first contribution of Mahapajapati Gotami. Then second thing is to get the right teachers or the right instructors to the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Again, there are a set of rules. Again, because of Mahapajapati Gotami, Buddha could give those different rules for the person, for the monk who should instruct the Bhikkhuni Sangha. So this is again the second contribution of this Mahapajapati Gotami to the to this dispensation, to this uh, dispensation, this Buddha Sasana. The third discourse is about that Mahapajapati Gotami, by listening to which she became an arhat. She could completely become an enlightened and liberated one. So that is also very, very simple, at the same time, very, very profound. So that this discourse also helped not only Mahapajapati Gotami to become an enlightened one. It has helped so many other women, so many other monks also, other nuns also, to understand the gist of that discourse, a small discourse, and they could become enlightened ones. They could liberate themselves. And what is this discourse? The discourse is quite general in nature, just stating basically that she should bear in mind that the true teaching leads to dispassion, unfettering, decrease in the births, little desire, contentment, solitude, energy, and ease in support. In short, she requests Buddha, in short, please give me the instructions by remembering which I should develop my mental purity, or I should progress in this path and I should be liberated. Buddha could see her predisposition, her mind, and he could say very authoritatively. So you should develop these qualities. What are these qualities? Develop the qualities of dispassion, having a lot of attachment to Sangha, attachment to the Bhikkhuni Sangha, attachment to me. It will not help you to become an enlightened lady. So it should come out of this kind of attachment of, say, leading the Bhikkhuni Sangha or being attached to me as foster mother or whatever maybe you are attached to the mind. You should come out of all these things, and you should completely develop dispassion, disinterest in all these worldly things. That is the first instruction given by Buddha to this lady, Gotami, so that he could help her to liberate her, to get liberation from these repeated births, to get that arhanthood, to reach that arhanthood. Unfettering, lot of fetters in the mind, come out of all those fetters, all those bindings, bondages. Decrease in the in any kind of attachment, any kind of possessions. You could decrease. You should disconnect from all kinds of attachments. So that's what Buddha insists on this lady, because as a woman, definitely though she became a nun and though she was responsible for so many women to join the Sangha, but still she was having a lot of attachments. So to cut those attachments, Buddha is giving all these beautiful instructions in the form of these beautiful words. And then little desire of icha. So whatever basic things that are required for the body, because they are from the royal family, there were a lot of they used to enjoy a lot of physical comforts. It's not just comfort, luxuries, physical luxuries. And Buddha is insisting. So you should have minimum desires, very little desires. And you should be contented with whatever you have. You may have to go for the alms. For collecting alms, you have to go, though you are royal ladies. And then you should enjoy the solitude. Generally, especially women, they like the groups. Of course, though they became nuns, they used to have the kind of uh, that desire to be in the groups, that sociability. So Buddha again discouraged it. So if you want to get liberation, you should learn how to appreciate and enjoy the solitude. Again, that is a very, very important instruction for the women. And energy, you should not be lazy. You should put forth your effort to be awake, to be aware, to be mindful, to be meditative, and to work on the mind and to remove the negativities of the mind with your mindfulness, with your consciousness, with your awareness. So again, you should have a lot of energy, energetic awareness you should have. Then only you will be liberated. And ease in support. And you should not become a burden for your lay supporters. You should you should not force them for your requisites. So whatever they could provide, so you should be happy with that. So in that way, Buddha has given these different instructions to this Mahabharata Gotami. By looking at her temperament, her mental predisposition, so that could directly hit her, that could directly uh, help her to change her view about the life of a nun, a serious nun, and that has made her to become an enlightened lady. So these instructions were good enough. Based on these instructions, uh, so again he could teach her the Four Noble Truths and also uh, the difficulty or the challenges uh, in this life where you are with so many people, where you are non-meditative, you are non-meditative and you are with many people, what are its limitations, what are the difficulties in that kind of life, in solitude and in meditativeness, what are the benefits, the benefits of say, giving up this early life or this group living and then working on the mind, the solitude, and how it is a superior happiness. So all these things, Anukupi Kata matlab step by step, how one should have great faith in Buddha and his teachings, and how one should follow the rules, one should follow the generosity, how one should be satisfied with little things, one should not possess so many things, one should be generous in giving up the things, in letting go of the things. And on this step by step manner, he uh, gave the instructions. And after listening to these instructions, he became an enlightened man. He became Arahant. In that way, in these three discourses, starting from the formation of Bhikkhuni Sangha, the female monastic order, and then having the right instructions to the right instructors for this Bhikkhuni Sangha, how this Sangha can become more strong and more, say, spiritually oriented, giving up their self pride, their possessiveness, their attachments to the royal life, all these things, how they could give up. And again, not just as a Sangha, even as an individual. Sangha is for the beginning. And as you mature in your spirituality, then you should take up this solitude. Then you should work on your mind. Then you should be liberated. So in that way, step by step, you can see from a householder, from a royal lady, so how she could become a renunciate, she could become a nun. That's what you can see in the first discourse, and in the second discourse, how she could be protected by the good monks, good instructors, good teachers. That is the second discourse, and in the third discourse, so how even you should come out of the group of a sangha and you should learn how to be alone and how you should work on your own mind, how you should liberate your mind. In that way, by giving these step by step progressive discourses to this lady, Mahapajapati Gautami, he could liberate, Buddha could liberate. And of course, after that, all other women also, they follow the suit, they follow the same path, and they too could become liberated women, liberated nuns, including Buddha's Bodhisattva when he was royal prince, before he became Buddha. So his wife, uh, Yashodhara, she also could become So in that way, he helped not only the women from his royal family, also from his clan, from, from, from so many other royal clans also. He could have, ordinary women also joined, very poor women also joined. So everybody, so they could help themselves. Because of this, Mahapajapati Gautami, who took the daring step to ask Buddha, to convince Buddha. So that is the great contribution of this lady. In all these three discourses, there is something to learn, especially for the women. So that is about these three discourses given to this Mahapajapati Gautami. So in all these three discourses, step by step, this Mahapajapati Gautami could progress in this spirituality. First, by becoming a nun. Second, by having the right teachers, she could progress. Though she was in the group, the Bhikkhuni Sangha, and in the third, she could even come out of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Come out means like she could stay alone, independent, isolated, and she could work on the mind. And she could become enlightened. So in that way, Buddha could help his foster mother, and through her, millions of other women also were helped by Buddha. That is about these three discourses. And before that, when she was a royal lady, she was just impressed with Buddha's enlightenment, and so many people were following Buddha. That time she was not very serious about spirituality, and she was not serious about becoming a nun also. And that time she was having a lot of attachment to Buddha also. And when he became such a great teacher and helping millions and millions of people, her attachment developed even more. And at that stage, as a householder, as a lay woman, she approached Buddha, and that time also Buddha could help her to come out of her attachment, to come out of some kind of pride that she had towards her, thinking that he was still her son. So, because of that kind of too much motherly love also, it will make the people blind. That happened in the case of Mahapajapati Gautami also. So Buddha could fix that kind of attachment in that discourse that is called Dakkhina Vibhanga Sutta. So Dakkhina means like offerings. Vibhanga means analysis. So he could correctly analyze and he could tell her the importance of offering, and also the way one should offer. What is the way? What is the mentality? What should be the mentality while offering? That Buddha could teach to his mother. So what is the background here? So this lady Mahapajapati Gautami approached Buddha, bringing a new pair of garments, these monastic garments, and she bowed and sat down to one side and requested Buddha, "Sir, I have spun and woven this new pair of garments, especially for the Buddha, especially for the Venerable Buddha. I have spun and I have woven this new pair of garments. May the Venerable please accept this from me out of compassion. So please accept this pair of garments because it is personally made by me. I prepared this with all my concern for you. I have spun this, woven this." So Buddha could see her concern, her compassion, her care, her even attachment towards him. And Buddha wanted to curb it. And what he said, he told, "Okay, just give it to the Sangha, to the representative of the Sangha, this Ananda you can give, or to the Sangha you can give." And again she requested, "No, I have prepared this for you only, you please accept." And Buddha said, "No, you give it to our communion." Third time also she requested, third time also he gave the same instruction, same suggestion. Again, here the point is not because he wanted to hurt his mother. His idea is to teach her that don't have that much of attachment to the Buddha. So just like as an ordinary mother taking care of his son, with that mind uh, she was say interested in offering them. She was having the same kind of mind. So just like a mother wanted to give something to her son, out of that, say, that affection, Buddha wanted to curb that. He was not interested in encouraging the people to give something out of some kind of affection or with some attachment. He wanted them to learn the correct mind before they offer something. By offering this how this becomes punya for them, how this becomes a great merit for them, great benefit for them. That he wanted to teach. So that is the main reason why he rejected to accept her offering, and he insisted her to give to the group his communion. And again, this she became very sad. At that time, she was an ordinary lay woman. So that time she became very sad. And again, this Venerable Ananda, Buddha's personal attendant and also the cousin, he interfered and he again requested Venerable our Gautam Buddha by praising her dedication, her compassion, her concern for Buddha when he was just an infant, 7 days infant. From that time, how she was so much dedicated to the concern or the care and the welfare of Buddha. So he started telling all those things. Again, he was very compassionate. He was not looking at the situation. He was not looking this situation with wisdom. He was looking only with compassion. Again, it was a great teaching to Ananda and the rest of the monks and the rest of the people also, lay people also. That's why it's a very great discourse. This is called Dakshina Vibanga, analysis of offerings, analysis of dana. Dakshina means dana, offerings. So Buddha is analyzing what kind of dana, with what mind, to whom it has to be given. These things are beautifully analyzed in this. Again, the contribution, the credit should go to Mahapajapati Gotami because she contributed for this discourse. Because of this discourse, many people could understand the science behind, the art behind giving, the wisdom behind giving. People out of sometimes with arrogance, with proudness, they try to give, they give. And Buddha could correctly analyze the superior dana, what is superior dana, what is inferior dana, how this dana is beneficial for the giver. So those things are beautifully analyzed, and the credit of this discourse again should be given to this Mahapajapati Gotami, this Gotami, the foster mother of Buddha. That time she was still an ordinary lay woman. So this Ananda could intervene, and he again requested. She was so much supportive, so much concern for you, and and why don't you accept her offering? Then Buddha says, again you see the beauty here. Though she was so much caring to me, you see how much she benefited from me or from spirituality. Materialistically, I might have benefited from her as a son. She might have taken care of me as a foster mother. But spiritually, how much she has been benefited by me and my teachings. That way, again, Buddha says, it is going to the Buddha that Mahapajapati has gone for refuge to the Buddha and his teachings and the Sangha. So taking refuge, so I have created this Tiratana in this world, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, which is a great liberator. And because of Buddha, that's because of me only, she could take refuge in this Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. That is a great liberator. That is the greatest happiness that she could derive from me. I could derive happiness from her when I was an infant. Yes, I completely agree. But more than that, she could derive more happiness by taking refuge in my teachings, in me and in my Sangha. So in that way, I have benefited more to her than she benefited to me. In that way, Buddha is teaching Ananda about the spiritual benefits, how the spiritual benefits are more superior than the worldly benefits. Even in the case of his own mother, many people, even Ananda would have thought at that time, Buddha is very ungrateful. But Buddha is saying, it is not the matter of gratitude or ingratitude. It is a matter of the superiority of the benefits. Spiritual benefits are more superior than the worldly benefits. even in the case of the mother, even in the case of the father. It's owing to the Buddha that she refrains from killing living creatures, refrains from stealing, refrains from committing sexual misconduct, refrains from lying, and refrains from taking alcoholic drinks that cause negligence. Because of because of her say because of these 5 precepts, this Panchashila, which was administered by me, she could control her mind, she could control her actions, she could not fall into the wrong actions because of my administering of this Panchashila, and she could understand the importance of these 5 precepts. And that is a great blessing, that is a great benefit for her. It's a great spiritual benefit for her. Whatever she has given to me, and the benefit that she is getting from me in the form of taking refuge in Tiratana, taking 5 precepts, is far, far superior than whatever she has offered to me, whatever she has done to me, whatever welfare she has done to me. It's owing to the Buddha that she has experiential confidence, the right faith. It's again the confidence. As I was telling you some time back, having this right faith, I could establish her with the right faith. That's again a great benefit for her. Whatever benefit that I accrued when I was a kid, so this benefit that she is getting now, the form of having this right faith, is a superior benefit. It's owing to the Buddha that she is free of doubt regarding suffering, its origin, its cessation, and the practice that leads to its cessation. The Buddha has been very helpful to Mahaprabhu. Not only this right faith and this sila and generosity, and she could learn the beauty of generosity, beauty of giving, again because of me. It is a superior benefit, it's a superior happiness. Whatever worldly happiness that I obtained when I was a kid. So more than that, so she is getting the spiritual benefits which are far, far superior. And in all these forums, these meritorious actions, the different meritorious actions that many of you have learned, Dana, Shila, Bhavana, Apachayana, Vaiyavacha, and also Parmis. All these things are the superior virtues, superior benefits that are learned by this lady Mahapada Gotami from me, and in a way I am more beneficial to her, far far more beneficial to her than she was beneficial to me. And not only this, I taught her the 4 noble truths, which are the ultimate truths, which are the noble truths. By knowing a little bit of these 4 noble truths also, she could liberate her mind to a great extent from lot of impurities, from lot of suffering. So in that way, Buddha is more beneficial to her than she is beneficial to Buddha. That way, Buddha could tame this venerable Ananda also. His over compassion also was tamed by Buddha's wisdom to prove that which is more beneficial, whether the spiritual benefits are more important or the material benefits are more important. So that Buddha could correctly convince, correctly explain to this Ananda that though she is trying to offer the robes to me, but there's a lot of attachment, there is a lot of pride also, there's a lot of some kind of possessiveness also. So to break that, so he was telling how to offer it to the Sangha. When someone has enabled you go for refuge, when somebody has helped you to take refuge in Tisarna, then it is not easy to repay them. So repaying is not so easy. That is such a great benefit. It is not easy to repay them by going down to them, rising up for them, getting them with joint forms and observing proper etiquette for them, or by providing them with robes, alms food, lodgings, accommodation and medicines and supplies for the sick, supplies for the teacher, but that is very, very inferior. That is very, very less when compared to the teachers who have helped you to take refuge in this right faith, in the right view, in the Dhamma, in the communion of the people who are following this Dhamma. So, in that way, when someone has enabled you to refrain from this killing and these five precepts, that is far, far superior. You can't repay it back just by standing up, just by holding the hands, just by offering something. You can't repay it back. That is far, far superior. The merit, the power of that refuge, the power of that Shila, power of that right faith, power of that right view is far, far superior when compared to whatever the lay people are offering to me and my people, my disciples. That way Buddha is actually is re-establishing this idea of the spiritual superiority, the spiritual benefits, the benefits of purifying the mind that is far, far superior than offering some comforts to the body. So that Buddha is highlighting, and this a great guideline, a a lamp actually for so many householders, for so many monks and nuns and the teachers, for everyone. This is a great instruction. So here Buddha is saying not only showing respect, but apachayana and service and offerings, the form of say sangha, from the form of accommodation, the form of robes, everything. So it is very, very less when compared to what you have obtained, what the lay people have obtained. And when somebody has helped you about the suffering and the cause of suffering, about the happiness and the cause of happiness, somebody cleared that in your mind, and you are more indebted to him or her than whatever you offer to him or her. That way, Buddha is highlighting the power of spirituality, the power of the punya kriyas, the power of the wisdom, the power of the Four Noble Truths to make this ananda to be very clear. Whatever he is doing, the Sangha is doing, the Buddha is doing, the teachers are doing, the far, far superior. The people should learn to offer, not with pride, but with humbleness, but with gratitude, but with respect, because they should know that they have received more, many times more than what they are giving. Thousands of times, maybe millions of times. That Buddha again explains how many times more they have received. So the same thing is there discussed in the chanting that we started our Dhamma talk today. That chanting, the same thing was discussed in that chanting also. Kasi Bharadwaja, so he says, "Oh, you are a monk and you are simply going for alms round. Why don't you work like me? So I'm a hard worker. You see, I am sowing seeds, and I'm having these 500 people working for me. I'm giving livelihood for them. So they are working hard. I'm working hard, and they are earning. We are eating. So this is the best way to earn our livelihood. What you are doing? You are simply going for alms round here and there. So you too should do farming. You too should do cultivation, and then you should eat." In that way, out of his arrogance and pride, he uh, he reprimanded. Actually, he suggested, he advised Lord Buddha, and Lord Buddha says, "I am also plowing. I am also cultivating. I am also farming. So with my farming, with my cultivation only, I am eating." In that way, Buddha says in that discourse, and he was shocked. He is doing nothing. We are doing. We are plowing. We are doing a lot of hard work, and he is doing nothing. And he is saying that he is plowing and cultivating. If that is the case, where is your plow share? Where is your say flow? Where is your bullocks? Where is your yoke? Where is that rope that is controlling the bullocks? So in that way, where is your seed? The seeds that have to be sown. Where all these things? That way he asked Buddha, and Buddha says, "Faith in this mind liberation is my seed." My meditation is my hard work, my flowing. My say my simplicity, my giving up is the rain, is the water. So in that way, Buddha he used to give so many similes of a meditator, a person who is working on the mind purification. He is a superior flowman. He is a superior hard worker. Working on the mind is the superior way of say living. Just working for the sake of body, that is the inferior way of living. So in that way, I'm a superior farmer than you. So because he was an intelligent person, he could immediately grasp it, and he could. Initially, he rejected Buddha's request for alms. When Buddha requested for alms, he rejected. You are a lazy monk. You simply roaming here and there. You are doing nothing. So you should work like us, and you should earn, and then you should eat. Then Buddha could say that how he's working on his mind, and how he is again, of course, helping other people to work on their minds. How they are better farmers for working on their mind, for better cultivators. Cultivating the mind is the best cultivation than cultivating the land. So that could convince that Krishi Bharadwaja, and he thought of giving to Buddha. And again, there was little bit of shame was there, little bit of pride was there, and with that pride and shame, when he offered Buddha without much respect and gratitude, Buddha rejected it. No, I don't accept this. Now, initially you rejected offering because you don't have that understanding. But now with understanding, you have developed some shame and pride. Still, there's some pride is there. So I don't reject. I reject. I don't accept. So that way he rejected again. So if you throw this, nobody can digest because it was meant for me, but because of your arrogance, you did not offer it to me. So now you. So now what should I do? You just throw it in some water where there are no living beings. Then when he threw that food in the water, it started say making noise as if when hot iron is thrown into water, it starts making that hissing sound. So that hissing sound it started making, and some say some smoke also started coming. So so that is the power of the food that is offered to an enlightened one. If it is not offered with respect and gratitude, then it will create some demerit to the giver. So the giver should have that understanding also. So what is the understanding? Spiritual benefits are superior than the worldly benefits. Mind purification, working on the mind, cultivating the mind is far superior than cultivating the land. That means the worldly things. With that understanding, one should develop, and with that understanding, one offers to a true cultivator of the mind, then one will get multifold, manifold, and multifold benefits. That's what is explained by Buddha in this next para. There are 14 ways of religious donations. If one gives a gift to the realized one, the perfect one, the fully awakened Buddha, the Samma Sambuddha, who is perfect in 3 levels, he is a Samma Sambuddha. That is our Gotama Buddha. That is the first religious donation. Then the second level of religious donation is the Pacheka Buddha, the Buddhas who were enlightened by themselves, but they could not very convincingly teach, and they could not liberate other people, and they could not liberate them to become arahants. They are the second level of Buddhas. They are called private Buddhas or Pacheka Buddhas. If you offer to them, then it is the second level of spiritual donation, religious donation. The third level is offering to an arahant, who is after listening to the teachings of Buddha, who has become enlightened, who has become a liberated person. He is an arahant. Offering to him is the third level of donation, third level of offering. The fourth level of offering is donation to a completely meditator, a religious person. The fourth level is one who gives a gift to someone practicing the realism, fruit of perfection, arhat phala. This is the fourth religious donation. One gives a gift to a non-returner. Non-return means anagam. Again, there are different levels of, say, having the glimpse of Nibbana. There are 4 levels. Again, in each level, there are or two, magga and phala. So again, so it becomes 8. So among these Aryas, those who are working to become Arahants, there are 8 kinds of 8 levels are there. So those 8, if you include so that again these 2, it becomes 10 levels. Uh, yeah, there are Sotapanna, Sagadagami, Anagami, Arahant, 2 levels. So those 8 plus Pacheka Buddha and Sammasa Buddha. Total 10 levels are over. Then comes one who is free from the one who is a good meditator, though he has not seen the enlightenment, the liberation, who is a very good meditator, who has control over his senses, his sensual say desires. So he is the next eligible person to offer donations. That is the 11th religious donation. And one gives to an ordinary person who has good ethical conduct, though he is not a meditator. The 12th one is, though he is not a meditator, but he is ethically he is good. He is true to his words. He is true to his say his behavior, his speech and actions, and his thinking are truthful. The coherence is there, as I was telling some time back. If you see some such kind of good say renunciates or householders who are very truthful, who are having that aspiration to become enlightened, for such people, one can give. Though he may be a householder, he may not be a monk. Though sometimes with some monks also they may not be very truthful. They're not righteous. So one can offer to this kind of rightful people. That is the next level of religious donation. And then if you don't get such kind of people, then a religious person, an ordinary person, a religious person without good conduct. And if you don't get such people also, then you can offer it to an animal also. That is the last level of donation, offering, dana, generosity. That is the 14th religious donation to a being, to an individual, whether it is human or an Arya or a Buddha or a ethical person or an ordinary person or an animal. In these 14 ways, one can donate. But again, Buddha says, to an animal, if you offer, that very offering mind will fetch you back 100 times results. You will get 100 times merits. Whatever you have offered, even to an animal, it will give back 100 times of benefits to you. And if you offer it to an ordinary person, it will become 10 times more than that. If you offer it to an ethically right person, it will get 1,000 times. If you offer it to a person who is free from the who is having control over the sensual desires, meditated, so it will be 100 times more than that. That way, is Buddha is multiplying the benefits, the merits of offering to more and more matured, more and more purified persons. Here, the purity matters. So that's what Buddha is insisting here. Whom to give? So better to give a matured, purified mind. The people with purified mind. If you don't get them, the other people also you can give. If you don't get them also, even to an animal also you can. It has also a lot of merits. That way he is highlighting the power of generosity. In several occasions he prizes the generosity. If you know as much as I know about the power of giving, then you don't take even a morsel of food without sharing with others. That's a very powerful statement. People are so ignorant about the benefits of giving. So even though I'm living this solitude as a renunciate, I'm practicing every day before taking the food. Also, I started giving in as many possible ways as possible. Even though I'm I have given up, I have given everything. Still, and every day I'm practicing. That is the power of generosity that I have learned from Buddha and from this Dakshina Vibhanga Sutta. So definitely for lay people, this is very, very useful. So that way he is pricing about offering, he is pricing about offering to the pure people, to the matured people, to the people working on the mind, and he also is offering that mind of offering the giver, he should offer with gratitude and respect. And also he talks about the things that they have earned with proper means. If they offer those things, then they carry more merit. If they don't have such things, sometimes they can offer whatever they have. But if they with ethically, if they have earned a few things and if they offer it, then it will carry much more uh, power, much more merits. So in that way, Buddha says, if a liberated person offers to a liberated person, then that dana has the highest benefits. That way, even if you are a good person, you should learn to give to good people, then it will definitely fetch more value, more merits. That's what Buddha is highlighting. Both in this Dakshina Vibhanga Sutta that is given to his mother, foster mother Gotami, and also in the chanting that the beginning of this discourse that we have chanted, that is your Kasi Bharadwaja Sutta. He could tame that Kasi Bharadwaja, he could convert him from the prideness to humbleness, from his wrong view, that is material attachment. Cultivating the land is a superior thing according to him. So because of that, he developed prideness, and Buddha could prove that cultivating the mind is more superior. And after that, he could take refuge in Buddha, and also he could become a monk, and he could become an arahant also. So, and he could enjoy the greater harvest when he became an arahant. What is the harvest? Peace of mind, liberation, uh, free from the bondage of this body and mind, free from this repeated births. All those great benefits he could achieve. In that way, Buddha could help his mother or this Kasi Bharadwaja in different ways. His mother, he could help in these three different levels, these three suttas that we have seen, and he could make her also an arahant. And because of her, again, millions of women they could get a lot of spiritual benefits uh, by becoming nuns and by learning the art of giving. So all these things, the credit should go to Mahapada Gotami, the mother, pastor mother, the wise lady, the great lady. So because of that, I selected this four suttas which were given to Mahapada Gotami. Because again, I remember the last week or 2 weeks back, we remembered Mahamaya, the mother who gave birth to Buddha, and today we remembered the foster mother who could give birth, who could take care of Buddha when he was an infant, when he was a child, when he was in his childhood, when he was adolescent. And not only that, she could benefit Buddha even when she became a monk. And not only that, she could benefit millions of women. That way, she was a model, role model to all the women. Mahapada Gotami, the foster mother of, by showing our respects to this great lady. So, and of course, to Buddha, the Sangha, we conclude today's chanting. Today's discourse. Before chanting, uh, if you have one or two questions, we can ask. Then we.
Bhante ji, Vandame Bhante ji,
Yes.
there are no questions.
Okay. So we'll conclude with one chanting. So in that way, please understand and have this key takeaway from this discourse. The conviction, the persistence, it will take you to any level. One should not give up, whether it is a man or woman. As I was telling you, some women here, though they were very, very confident, they were having some kind of fear in the spiritual growth. So never mind, men and women, they have the same intelligence. Physically, there may be some difference, but in intelligence and even in the spiritual intelligence, they both have the same faculties, if both have the same maturity, one need not have any kind of inhibitions or inferiority with regard to spiritual strengths and intellectual strengths. We can definitely, with your perseverance, we can come out of any physical limitations, work on the intellectual or the spiritual faculties of your own self. Definitely, you have those faculties, you have those powers, and if you work on them, develop them, and the spiritual attainments, spiritual summits are open for both men and women. So, with that message, today discourse will conclude. Of course, with one small chant. नमो तस्सा भगवतो अर्हतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा भवतु सर्वमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सर्वदेवता सर्वबुद्धानुभावेन सर्वधर्मानुभावेन सर्वसङ्घानुभावेन सदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते सुखी भवेयन्निर्दुःखो अहं नित्या अहं विया यदा च मे सुखी भवन्तु मज्जता चतवेदिनो मां गम्मन्ते धम्मे सत्तहोन्तु सुखी सदा अतो परञ्चारज्येषु चक्रवालेषु जन्तनो साधु 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 सुखी होन्तु मंगल हो सुखी होन्तु मंगल हो. And if you have some questions, of course you can ask next week also. May all of you be happy, healthy and peaceful. May all beings also be happy,